Imagine waking up in a world where you are no longer seen as a person, just a number. Your name, your past, and your dreams are erased, and you are forced into a place where survival is not about strength or intelligence, but pure, merciless chance. The air is filled with despair, and the cries of the broken echo through the walls. Every day people vanish without a trace. Most would surrender to such horror, their spirits crushed by suffering, but one man refused. Viktor Frankl, a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp, not only endured but discovered something that would change how we understand life. Amidst the horrors of the camp, he uncovered a profound truth, something so deeply human it would forever alter the way we see suffering. Frankl found that even in the darkest of times, there was one thing the Nazis could not take from him: the ability to choose his response. Born in 1905 in Vienna, Frankl was deeply interested in psychology and philosophy from a young age, questioning why some people succumbed to despair while others kept fighting. He studied medicine, specializing in neurology and psychiatry, and by his early 20s, he was helping suicidal students find a reason to live. Frankl's approach was different from other therapists. He focused not on past trauma, but on helping people find a purpose to keep going. When he was offered a chance to move to America, Frankl chose to stay in Vienna with his family, even as the Nazi threat grew. In 1942, his life took a drastic turn when he, along with his family, was sent to a concentration camp. Frankl's father died from starvation. His mother and brother were murdered in the gas chambers, and his wife was sent to another camp. Frankl was left with nothing but his life, and even that seemed uncertain. Yet, in this nightmarish world, Frankl observed that not everyone gave up. Some people, despite the suffering, found reasons to keep going. Frankl realized that those who had a purpose, no matter how small, had the will to endure. He saw a man who survived the brutal cold because he dreamed of reuniting with his daughter, an artist who held on because of the paintings he still wanted to create, and a scientist who found a reason to survive through the unfinished work he had yet to complete. Frankl understood that those who had a why could endure almost any how. This profound realization became the core of Frankl's philosophy. He found that suffering in itself is meaningless, but the moment we give it meaning, it becomes bearable. He used this understanding to survive his own torment, imagining himself lecturing on these ideas and writing about his experiences. When Frankl finally left the camp, he had lost everything: his family, his home, and his career. But he carried with him an unshakable truth. Life is never unbearable because of circumstances, but only because of a lack of meaning and purpose. After the war, Frankl returned to Vienna, a city that was no longer the same. He had lost everyone he loved, yet instead of giving in to despair, he transformed his pain into purpose. Frankl went on to write Man's Search for Meaning, which shared his discovery with the world. His philosophy, known as Logotherapy, proposed that the primary human drive is not pleasure, as Freud suggested, or power, as Adler believed, but meaning. Frankl's approach was future-focused. He taught people to ask not, "What do I expect from life?" but "What does life expect from me?" This shift helped people take responsibility for their present and future, finding meaning in their work, relationships, and suffering. Frankl's message continues to resonate today. In a world that often emphasizes happiness as the ultimate goal, Frankl's work reminds us that happiness is a byproduct of meaning, not the end goal itself. He taught that we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. This response, he believed, was the key to growth and freedom. Frankl's insights didn't just help people survive extreme suffering, they helped people live more fully, regardless of the challenges they faced. His message was simple: suffering is inevitable, but meaning is always within our reach. This powerful idea offers a way to find strength in adversity and transform pain into purpose. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, learned firsthand how individuals can find purpose even in the most devastating circumstances. After the war, he worked with terminally ill patients, many of whom faced death but found meaning in their final days. One patient told Frankl, "Doctor, I cannot avoid dying, but I can ensure that I die with dignity." This shift in perspective, from helplessness to purpose, became central to Frankl's philosophy. He believed that rather than focusing on what was lost, meaning comes from what we can still give, even in the face of suffering. This contrasts sharply with modern society's obsession with comfort, pleasure, and instant gratification. Frankl argued that a meaningful life is not easy. It's often about struggle, sacrifice, and responsibility. He believed true fulfillment comes from being part of something greater than oneself. Whether it's a parent caring for a sick child, an artist pushing through creative difficulties, or a person fighting for a cause, these acts bring deep meaning because they require effort and resilience. Frankl's insights can apply to anyone, not just those in extreme circumstances. If you feel lost or uncertain, ask yourself 3 key questions. What work can I dedicate myself to? Meaning often comes from contributing to something greater than ourselves, whether through work or personal endeavors. Who do I love, and who depends on me? Relationships are a source of meaning. Finally, how can I transform my suffering into something meaningful? Instead of asking, why me? Frankl suggested we ask, how can I grow through this? Frankl's teachings have helped countless individuals across the globe, from those struggling with trauma to business leaders, artists, and athletes. His philosophy has shown that life is not about avoiding suffering, but about finding something worth suffering for. The essence of Frankl's message is that even in the darkest times, we always have the power to choose how we respond to hardship. This idea of taking responsibility for our response is key to transforming suffering into strength. Frankl observed that those who found meaning in suffering through faith, love, or purpose were more likely to survive the worst of conditions. He argued that, in life, suffering itself is neutral. It's the meaning we assign to it that makes it transformative. This concept can apply to everyday struggles. For example, 2 people may lose their jobs, but one might see it as an opportunity to pursue a passion, while the other succumbs to despair. Frankl's philosophy teaches us that suffering can be a catalyst for growth if we choose to use it as such. He also believed that happiness is a byproduct of living a meaningful life, not the ultimate goal. Pursuing meaning, whether through work, love, or overcoming adversity, leads to true fulfillment, while chasing happiness alone often leads to emptiness. Frankl identified 3 ways to find meaning in life: through work, love, and suffering. By dedicating ourselves to meaningful work, we create value that contributes to something larger than ourselves. Through love, we deepen our connections with others, which brings purpose. Finally, suffering can become meaningful when we use it to grow, learn, or help others. Frankl himself found meaning during his time in the concentration camps by holding on to the love he had for his wife, even when he didn't know if she was still alive. His experience shows that suffering doesn't have to break us. It can strengthen us and give us a deeper sense of purpose. Frankl's most powerful lesson is that, while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. The people who rose above the horrors of Auschwitz were those who, despite everything, chose to maintain their humanity, showing kindness and hope. Similarly, in our lives, we may not control our past or certain external events, but we can control how we use those experiences. Frankl's philosophy emphasizes that responsibility is not about blaming ourselves, but about realizing we have the power to shape our future. Viktor Frankl's work continues to be a lifeline for people facing adversity. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, has sold millions of copies and has inspired people worldwide. Frankl's message is timeless because suffering is universal. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, the struggle with depression, or the quiet sense of emptiness despite outward success, everyone faces challenges. Frankl's teachings remind us that even in the worst times, we have the power to find meaning. By applying Frankl's wisdom, we can transform our suffering into a source of strength and live lives filled with purpose. It all starts with asking ourselves, how will we respond to life's struggles? The choice is ours, and through that choice, we can create a life of meaning that nothing can take away.